we spoke on the historical review of Liberia's past. He touched on land ownership, and he talked about how land under our traditional system was not for sale. That is true. I gave to the Commissioner for the Historical Review a document that I wrote while a student at Wesley Theological Seminary in Washington, D.C., USA, and is entitled Land Reform, a Challenge to the Churches in Liberia. Land Reform, a challenge to the churches in Liberia, but in fact, it is not only to the churches, but to religious organizations in Liberia. The introduction to that document traced the fact that land has been and continues to be the basis for much of our problems in this country. Contention over land. When I returned from exile in 2005, I had the occasion to be the installing officer for the press union for the last corps of officers that were inducted. And I told them that we had gone through a civil war. It was good that we're out of the civil war, but we faced a new threat, and that is the situation with disputes over land. And I requested the press to please pay keen attention to how we sell land, how we acquire land, how we transfer land from one person to another. I give them the example of how during the administration of President William R. Talbot Jr., land started to become a problem, and in order to help us solve that problem, President Talbot invited the United Nations to please send a team to Liberia to survey the entire Republic of Liberia to determine who owned what. And for those who know how Liberia was organized, the first street in Liberia is Water Street and then Front Street, because when they left the Providence Island, that's where they settled. And so in order to survey the Republic of Liberia, you have to go to, the surveyor will have to go to the cornerstone, to the first peg that was put there, to the first cornerstone that was put there. That is the point from which you survey Macklin Street, Carey Street, until you get to Kakata and beyond. When they started to survey Front Street, it was discovered. Now this group that came from the United Nations was called the Land Adjudication Committee or Commission, something like that. Check the Ministry of Lands and Mines. They should have all of the documents. They should have. If they do not have, I'm sure the United Nations in New York would have. The Land Adjudication Commission or Committee. When they started to survey the Republic of Liberia beginning at Water and Front Streets, they found out that some prominent persons could not present deeds for prime land on which they have built very good houses. It became an embarrassment to our society, and we were not going to let these United Nations people embarrass us. So we thanked them very well and said goodbye to them. They packed up and they left us not knowing who owns what. This is a true story. Let the ministry, I've challenged the Ministry of Lands and Mines. I challenged the government of Liberia to prove me wrong. Land is the problem. Now Dr. Tibo was right when he said that land was not for sale under the traditional system. You see, my people at Wesley Seminary, explore the fact that under traditional system you could not sell land because the people do not really own land. The land owns the people. The people do not own the land owns the people. That's why in Baza they will say, I'm gonna blow you. We are children of the soil. It is out of the soil that we came. In the Bible it said God made man from the dust of the earth. It is from the soil that we came. It is on the soil that we make our farm. It is from the soil that we get material to build our houses. We live on the soil. And when we die, we return to the soil. And so the soil is not for sale. And the more people we bury in the soil, the more sacred it becomes. And therefore it is not for sale. So it was impossible for those people in the 1800s to sell land because such a concept was not in their dictionary, the traditional dictionary. Now the two people that came together, and there were in fact three groups of people that came together to help organize Liberia, were those who owned the land who were here, the indigenous ethnic groups. That one group. The second group are those people who arrive by sailing ship in search of a place where they could be free from the molestation of plantation owners in America. The third group were our northern brothers and sisters who bowed to the east toward Mecca and prayed in the Islamic fashion, and who, because of their interest in the north, did not occupy in the coastal areas. Those are the three groups that combine to have what we call the Republic of Liberia. The first group that were here, the indigenous people along the coast, had a concept of communal land ownership. The land belongs to the people. The people have a chief, and that chief is requested to control, to distribute, to fairly administer the property of the community or the clan. That chief is not to sell land. That chief is to distribute land among the people, those who are willing and ready and capable of making farms or doing anything on the land. You may have the land for as long as you can use it. When you can no longer use the land, it goes back to the people. That was long before Karl Marx was born, and long before socialism or communism came about. That system was here. You want to use the land 2,000 years, if your family is able, your family will keep the land. As soon as one of your drunken grandson cannot work the land anymore, it goes to another group that will work the land. So they had no concept of land sale. Then came to Providence Island a group of people influenced by Western culture who believed that there must be personal ownership of property. So you have people here who believe that there will be communal ownership, and then another group arrived by sailing ship and have been influenced by almost 400 years of personal ownership. These people who were being brought back here to get settled did not create the problem. The problem was embedded in the system. And someone said, I think one of the panelists, I forgot which one said that it was embedded in the system the colonization society, American colonization society brought here, and that's true. There was a problem in the United States in the 1800s. All of the slaves they had taken from other places, including Africa, and carried to the United States, were no longer needed because they had discovered how to make machines to pick their cotton and do other things. And so the black people running around there, physically stronger than the people they met there, produced a threat to them, especially when many of the slave owners got attracted to black women, including Thomas Jefferson, who had black slaves that he slept with as his bed partners. and he had children by them. And I think we should declare Operation Full Disclosure. Operation Full Disclosure for the purpose of the historical review, that Thomas Jefferson's son that he was embarrassed to keep over there because he didn't want him to suffer the slavery was Joseph Jenkins Roberts. That's why in Liberian history not much is said about Roberts' father. Just like in Ghanaian history not much is said about Nkrumah, whose father came from Liberia. Not much is said about Thomas Jefferson and Joseph Jenkins Roberts. Not much is said about Kwame Nkrumah, who was in fact Francis Weir. He had his Liberian passport, Francis Weir. Before they went to the conference and started all this Pan-Africanism business. Operation Full Disclosure. We must tell the truth. Operation Full Disclosure. Long before the coup, there was no Thomas Kuwangba, there was Thomas Cooper. Long before the coup, there was no Thomas Kuwangba, there was Thomas Cooper. The Cooper people child that they left up in the country. In fact, he was not even Cooper, he was Dennis. The Dennis brought him down and gave him to the Cooper, the cousin to raise, and so they call him Thomas Cooper. And these outside children saw the inside children enjoy, and they came and disturbed the house. That's how we had this family feud in the house that we call a civil war. When you leave these outside children all around, selling cold water, cutting wood, and the other inside children going to school in air-conditioned cars. They come later on and disturb the house. Operation Full Disclosure. And so the land situation, Thomas Jefferson and these people didn't want their children suffering there. I worked at the Liberian embassy when Dr. Guanu was ambassador. After Dr. Guanu left and Mr. Greaves, Elwood Greaves was the acting ambassador, we went to Joseph Jenkins Roberts' home in Norfolk area. And they were telling us the story about how he was Jefferson's son, and all these old ladies knew the story. Only historians don't know the story. All the old ladies know the story. And that's why you don't hear much about him. Thomas Jefferson did not want his son hanging around America looking like a slave. They arranged for that boy to come here. And they arranged for him to be the first president of Liberia because he was president of America. It was all an arrangement. They came here to get land to settle these people because the Haitians had already beaten the French out of Haiti, and the American political system panicked. Because if the black Haitian could beat the French out of that island, and you got all these stripling black people in America, they could beat the white people into the sea. So the first thing was that they had a meeting and said, let us send them far away, as far west as California. Somebody said, no, these people have children at a fast pace. They will form a nation there and come back to get us. So what will we do? Send them back to where they came from. That's when they send people out to scout for a place. And you remember the first group went to Sierra Leone, to Sherbrooke Island. They met with Governor McCarthy, who had suspicious disposition toward their mission, and he refused them hospitality. The medical condition or the health condition on Sherbrooke Island was not very conducive because the mosquitoes helped to drive them away because many of them were dying. That's how they picked up anchor and came and landed at Providence Island. When these people discovered Providence Island, then they came trying to negotiate to buy the land. Now, historians, I agree with Dr. Guanu that we need a historical group that will put together the history. Historians always believe that the people who were here before 1822 could not understand English. That might not be true. I'm not saying that is not true. I said that might not be true. Why? Because before the people came here in 1822, there were Cubans here engaged in slave trade. In the trade town area, they were called slave trade town, but now they dropped the slave and they just say trade town in the Basel region. There were English people people, William Towerson went to Riverside in 1550. Long before 18, he was there in 15, speaking English. So by the time these people came in the 1822, the people around here at least could understand some broken English. So we cannot say it was out of ignorance that they sold the land. I'm not even saying they sold the land, because I believe they did not sell any land, because indigenous land are not for sale. But I'm saying that we should not think our people were so ignorant that they couldn't understand broken English, because they were working on slave ships. They were up and down here. The English was trading with them. The Portuguese were here. You go to Riverside and other coastal area, they call them Pluquinho, Portuguese people. So they knew a bit of it. That is why the negotiation broke down, because they knew that these people who came wanted to buy the land. They wanted to give the land and not have it for sale. Give the land and you use it almost like a lease, and it comes back to the people. They said no. So they went back and they told our good friend there, James Monroe, the 5th president of the United States, they told Monroe that those heathens that don't want to give us the land. And Monroe said, okay. He ordered the U.S. Navy alligator with R.F. Stockton, Captain Stockton, after whom we named Stockton Creek. Yeah, in the Stockton dry gin. And he told Stockton to go to that place and acquire the land. That was the order given by the Commander-in-Chief of the United States of America, the 5th President of America, James Monroe. So they started this military situation here. You send a military vessel to invade our territory and to acquire land by any means possible. And the only means they had was force. I believe that's what they used to call gunboat diplomacy. I don't know whether that's it. But when gunboat diplomacy means something more than just pouncing on a group of people that don't even have single-barrel guns. They came, and according to their own narration, is written in a book called the Colonization Movement or something like that. I forgot the guy name. So long it started with S. Starting Russ. Okay, that's it. He wrote a book, a copy of which I have, and I can let the commission see it for a few hours. Because I keep my books under locks and key. I can let you see it for a few hours. He wrote that they came and these traditional chiefs carried them through a long protocol that frustrated them. And I could understand. The protocol was that they go to the negotiation table. These chiefs would talk and be interpreted, and they would ask for recess and go and eat cola and drink their liquor, and they would dance a bit. Then the chief would declare he wants to go and sleep up there. He got to rest, go hang here with the elders. He got to go and pour libation and consult the ancestors. And these guys with their guns on their side got very frustrated. So what's going on? So at a certain point in time, look, the guy just came, stopped on their kids and said, look, my man, put your thumbprint on this paper or I'll blow you up. It's in their own book they wrote. I didn't write that book. So for Liberian historians to say that people sold land for beads and pieces of cloth and smoked fish and liquor is foolishness, to say the least. The man who did it told you how he did it. He put the gun to the head of the chief and took the land. Therefore, American diplomacy in the 1800s introduced violence into our society as a means of getting what you want. So all the Isakaba boys running around with the cutlasses came from that very culture of using violence. Violence. After they took the land by force and went back to tell their commander-in-chief that they had the land, the next thing the indigenous people saw was ship coming, bringing some black folks to come and be here. And then they just said among themselves, you mean those people who are our people who we got vexed and sold them, they want to come back? They will get the white people to come and force us when they know they're supposed to come and live with us. We give them the land. So we'll not rest until we get our land back. When they took the land, Mamba Point was a Bassa area. The Mamba Bassa people were located there. They removed them from there. They removed them from all on the Cape where is now Joseph Jingrawa's farm. I know how he bought it, but it's his farm. The whole Ducal area was willed to the Methodist Church. You know, Robert was old now and he knew he was going to see God soon. So he started to negotiate and he willed all his property to the church, to manage, so that the children of Liberia would not suffer. They would be able to go to school. All that Ducal area, the American Embassy area, owned by Roberts and in charge of the Methodist Church, so that we won't have children selling water in the street. And those are the reconciliation we got to go through. What has happened to that property? Did Robert say that his land was for Christian children? Did he say it was for Methodist children? Or did he say it was for the children of Liberia? If you don't have Joseph Jingrawa will, I have a copy. I can let you copy it. But first, I will let you go across the road to the archive. Let them give you an official copy. If they cannot give you an official copy, then I will give you my copy.